In trading, there are good wins and bad wins, and good losses and bad losses. Today, I watched this trend here, this uptrend during pre-market. This gray box here was a gap from September, and I wanted to see how it responded, and as it got out toward the end here. Basically, we had a big rip off the open. I came up to this 456.38. I'd seen some people had 456 as their top of this gap. Mine was 455.5. That may have been an error in the way I drew it, but either way, it invalidated any sort of a trade that was up here for me. That was not within my system. What I did do is I picked the last kind of resistance retest. Now I have a support here. I wanted to see this be used as a retested as a support again. So after it dumped back down here, that was a pretty good move that I missed. I saw it go through pre-market high. Was coming back down here to see how it retested. We got this 5-minute candle here. Nice long wick, big reaction. And I actually got in on this at 450, 445, I think, and I set the stop at a close on red below this green candle here. Well, what happened on the next candle? It dumped through. So this should have been a stop. But I was watching price action, and I was watching level 2 on this one, so I was seeing buy orders come in. And I kept seeing it get down and get snap down, snap back up, down, snap back up. So there was something down here that was enticing buyers. I sized very light on this, so I could afford to have a little bit more drawdown, and that broke one of my trade rules, which means this win was not exactly a good win. Here, the next red candle after that big dump candle went through my stop, it retested it and lost it, but it did it on lower volume on red. So I was watching this when it came up, kept retesting it, closed back above, and I opted to stay in there instead of close out at a basically break even. Next one, what happened? Came down, red, still closed above. So now this line here was acting as a very good support at this point. Came up pretty good strong green with some volume. A little retest back down here toward near the top of this candle, closed above, came back up here with a little bit more volume, closed above pre-market high, and I was still looking for a break, maybe back up to retest this 456 at the top of the gap. Obviously we didn't get it. These up here went to 50 or 60% from my entry, so it was a pretty good return, but I had my stop set right at the base of this green candle here, so I was set about 18% in profit. And then because I was watching level 2, this is one of those spots where there's a hole in my mechanical part of my system, and I rely on a little bit of intuition and reading the chart and reading level 2. I'm seeing some momentum loss up here, and I lost confidence in this position altogether on this green candle here, because every one of these little bumps up was getting sold back off, and it failed to make another high. So this is where I got out, and I got out somewhere right around the bottom of this candle here. I did it after this one closed. I just reset it to the last one here because it was higher, and that was another little bit of a mistake. I should have kept it here per my rules to the letter, but looking at this, comes back down, and then it ripped right back down through it and retested that support from pre-market. And then we just continued to chop the rest of the day. There was one decent move up here from an extension of this trend line here. I don't trade these formations. I just use them basically as a reference to see the range. When I start seeing a widening or a diverging pattern between the top and bottom trend lines, so if I were to say this bottom one stayed here, and where are you? Come on. And this upper trend line was going like this, and this bottom trend line was going more like this. I would call that a diverging pattern. And when I see this happen a lot of times, it'll bounce off of it. It uses those as a range, so it'll just kind of bounce off the top, down off the bottom, retest the bottom, come back off the top, down off the bottom. And if I see a diverging pattern with two touches on here, if it breaks down through that about that trend line area and reclaims it, I'll go long down here and I'll go short up here. It's just a matter of patience to make sure it gets up there, because if it's set in the middle of the range here, you're in no man's land. You got nothing. I might be able to set a reasonable stop, but I don't have the same conviction as I do in one of those diverging patterns like this. So I may have closed out this trade green. I am not proud of it because I outright just broke all of my rules of my system here. And if I'm not trading by a system, I'm not actually staying consistent. And that is one of the biggest issues I'm having, is just staying consistent within my system. I can tweak the system and I can tweak the rules, but if I don't stick by the rules, I'm basically going rogue. So I didn't expect a whole lot today. I said that in my pre-market post on Instagram where I put this level up, and that was, yeah, it was kind of a lackluster end to a week where I made some poor decisions. But next week is a new week. I won't be trading Friday. The market's only open half a day. Short days, I do not trade. I don't see a reason to. The risk reward is not there for me, so I am going to stay out of the market on Friday. I'll be back Monday, and I will do my due diligence. I'm going to reset this weekend. I'm going to spend some time with family. I'm going to have a lovely Thanksgiving dinner that my wife and I will be cooking tomorrow. And I am going to put myself back into savage mode for Monday so I can stick firmly to my rules and have the conviction to trail my stops the whole way up and stop out when my system dictates. I'm just going to follow the system, and that's how I must pursue greatness. So thank you for watching, and have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving.